What kind of wife would make you watch the child and as she goes out and hangs out with friends while it's opening day of NFL football?
I really don't know. Maybe the fact that I am hungover on the weekends and she has to watch the kid all day on those days and get up at 5 in the morning. But you know what? This is my night, just like every other night. And
Yeah,
she needs to be here watching the children.
this is her way to get back at you.
How dare she?
Do you have your beer?
I have my beer.
Will you crack it?
Yeah.
Let's get loaded. And welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast
Where we never finish first because we finish last with pizza in our mouth.
with pizza in our mouth. Thank you very much for tuning into the Loaded Box Podcast. I am Ben. That is DJ. If you were watching on YouTube, make sure you check us out there. And man, it happened. It's week 1 of the NFL. We've got Atlanta versus Philly tonight. DJ's scarfing down pizza. He's watching his kid while his wife goes out and has fun. She's not respecting the holiday whatsoever.
I know it's a shame because I had to put this kid to bed. I'm hoping she gets home by 7:15 so I can just trade and come sprinting down for the game starts. Actually, I don't even know game time. What is the game start time?
It's as soon as we're done with this. That's when we're going to be ready. So
I need to know the actual time.
yes, well, hey, we are doing, finally, it's happening. We're done with all of our rankings. We're done with our season predictions. It's here now. It's our NFL Week 1 preview podcast. We're doing daily fantasy sports, bargains, stacks, our own picks. We're doing listener fantasy football start-sit questions. And obviously, with being the gambling degenerates, we're doing our against the spread gambling picks. So, DJ, are you finally ready for the start of the NFL season?
I've been waiting for this fucking Christmas morning.
Christmas morning. I know. It's just one of those top 5 days of the year. It just flies under
Yeah,
the radar.
right.
It should be a holiday. We should have the day off of work. But,
Sunday will be better, though.
Oh,
Sunday
for sure.
will be better.
for sure.
It will be better, and love this one, but it feels so good to watch real, meaningful football. Let's fucking go.
Absolutely. Well, before we start here, just want to say thanks again to Pristine Auction for the signed Odell Beckham Jr. mini helmet. We gave it away. I just haven't shipped it yet. I'll be doing that probably tomorrow. And congrats to our winner, Gary Steinberg, who's an actual Giants fan, and he plans on putting it on display, the signed mini helmet next to his autographed OBJ jersey. So I'm actually glad someone that's really going to appreciate it won it. But Pristine Auction, they do daily auctions packed with tons of stuff for the man cave. Guarantee their items as they all come with certificates of authenticity from only the trusted sources. Also affordable. Most people don't think you can afford it, but trust me, go onto the website, check some things out. You definitely can. It's quick and free, easy to register, free to bid. You only pay when you win. And make sure you mention the Loaded Box podcast when you get registered in the How Did You Hear About Us section. So head over to pristineauction.com. That's pristine, Pristine, auction.com. And with that,
So get this real quick.
all right, I'm
I
listening.
have to say this. So speaking of Odell, I didn't even notice, but this beer I'm drinking is by, let's see here. Oh, this way. It's Odell Brewing Company. It's really hard to see.
It is really hard.
Odell
Oh, I see it now,
Brewing.
yeah.
Yeah,
All right, it was meant to be.
it was crazy.
It was meant to be. Well, congrats again, Gary. But DJ, are you ready to talk some daily fantasy sports? Some people play preseason daily. It's just not really our jam. It's
No.
quite
fuck
interesting. I'm intrigued by it, but man, real season NFL Week 1 daily fantasy picks. Do you want me to start or do you want to kick it off?
that. You can't do analysis on pre. Yeah, let's go ahead.
All right. I will start with if you remember last year, I do a bargain stack of the week. Stack obviously meaning a quarterback, wide receiver. This week's bargain stack is brought to you by the Denver Broncos. It's Case Keenum at 6,300 and Emmanuel Sanders also at 6,300. They're at home against the Seahawks. Keenum is only the 20th most expensive quarterback playing against the Seahawks defense. That defense really isn't scaring anyone anymore. So you can afford both of these guys, and I was going through some of my lineups that I'm using. You can play both of these guys and still have cash for expensive running backs like Leonard Fournette and Melvin Gordon. I know that it's the first game for the Broncos. It's first game for everyone, but they're at home. You don't have to worry about being on the road in Seattle with that loud environment. And in regards to why I'm going Emmanuel Sanders over Demaryius Thomas, you're saving $700, and it's basically 50-50 as to which one of those guys has the better chance of producing the most. So I'll take the cheaper option. So that's my bargain stack of the week. You got to unmute yourself, DJ, with your pizza eating. Oh, DJ, why can't you talk? Well, anyways, I'll go on to my quarterback as DJ gets his life figured out over here. All right, so while I'm doing that, I'm going to tell you to also avoid, I do a quarterback avoid some weeks as well. Avoid Ben Roethlisberger this week. He's $8,000 at the Browns. Roethlisberger is the fifth most expensive. It's a road game. We know what that means. And with Le'Veon Bell being a huge question mark, you may think that no Le'Veon Bell or a limited Le'Veon Bell would be awesome for Big Ben, but I'm here to tell you that that's probably wrong. The offense clicks so much better when Le'Veon actually plays. That in turn makes Big Ben more effective. So I'll actually let DJ. He's back in here. So I said to avoid Ben Roethlisberger.
All right, so I was going to go back to what you were saying. You can hear me now?
Yep, you're all good.
I don't know what happened. I wasn't muted, but you were sounding really funny, and it was weird. You had a really weird voice. So I was going to go back to Case Keenum real quick. So if you guys don't want to grab the garbage Case Keenum and Emmanuel Sanders, that shit matchup that Ben's trying to give you guys, that shit stack is what we should call them.
Why? It's a great bargain. You even know that Seattle's defense is bad. And Case Keenum did it last year with the Vikings. Why can't he
He's going to show you how bad he is. Just so if you want an actual good bargain or a good stack here with a bargain quarterback, go Andy Dalton, 6,800 with AJ Green, 8,400 at Indianapolis. The Colts are the 27th in the league against the pass last year. Andrew Luck is back. They're going to air it out. He can throw. I'm looking shootout at Indy. I don't like Dalton at all, but in this matchup, I would take Green, I would take Dalton, and I even like Mixon in this matchup. I don't like Mixon season long, but he's someone I would target in this as well. I mean, you should see plenty of passing / receiving yards in this Bengals Colts game because the Colts defense isn't good, haven't really improved. This is going to be probably Dalton's best game in the entire year.
Okay, so I agree. I don't mind your stack, but you can't coin the token phrase bargain stack if your wide receiver is more than $7,000. Your guy's more than $8,000. I'm talking about a bargain stack. I can afford other expensive guys, and for you to just completely trash Case Keenum, I know you don't like him as an NFL quarterback, but you can't deny his price as the 20th most expensive quarterback playing against Seattle, whose defense you just trashed a couple of weeks ago.
I think Keenum's that bad. So that's my whole point.
Okay, and do you have any other quarterbacks you want to talk about?
Nope, that's all I got.
All right, besides Keenum, I actually like Phillip Rivers. He's 7,500 versus the Chiefs. I actually like Mariota at 7,200 at Miami as well. In my opinion, it's just not a great week for the expensive quarterbacks. I would personally rather take a bargain guy. So with that, let's move on to running backs. I'll go right away because I think DJ's trying to mute his kid. Since I said it's not a great week for expensive quarterbacks, I'm also going bargain wide receiver. That means I like the expensive running backs this week. I mentioned Leonard Fournette. I mentioned Melvin Gordon. Fournette's 8,000 at the Giants. Gordon's 8,100 versus Kansas City. The Giants were 27th in rushing yards allowed per game last year, and the Chiefs were 25th. I know that things change year to year, but I think if both of those teams are going to improve against the run, it's not going to happen just overnight. You're finishing too far down to all of a sudden just be good. And you're obviously playing with great running backs there. So this week I'm going expensive at running back. I'm going Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette.
Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I've given you AJ Green and Andy Dalton. So I'm going to give you another beast, which you gave one of mine, but then I'm going to give you a super cheap guy. I agree on Leonard Fournette wholeheartedly. Like you said, the Giants were terrible against the run last year, and guess who comes rolling into town? The freaking Jaguars, Tom Coughlin at the helm, and Doug Marrone, who likes running more than anybody in the league. He loves running. He wants to give that ball. I mean, if he didn't have to pass this game just to throw them off a little bit, he would. But he's got offensive coordinators to deal with, and he wouldn't.
They literally call him Forrest Gump in the locker room.
Yeah. So
he loves running that much.
Nice. So Leonard Fournette's going to get like 30 carries. He can average like 3 yards a carry, still get 100 and 2 touchdowns. You're going to get 100 yards and 2 touchdowns from this guy. I almost guarantee it. He's going to run so much. He might get injured this game because he's going to be running so much. So I love Leonard Fournette. That's my guy. I like him more than the guys above him just because of that matchup. Yep. So I'm definitely leaning Leonard Fournette. And then cheap guy, I got to go James Conner. I know you were talking about it, but I'm going $5,000 I'm getting out of him.
That's amazing.
Le'Veon's not going to be there.
Right.
This guy can make plays, looked explosive. I think they're going to try to make a show out of him. Like, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, Le'Veon, watch what James Conner can do. And they're going to show what he can do and make Le'Veon want to get back. Because if they can just bench him for the rest of the season after he comes back, they probably will. James Conner's that good. So they're going to try to show off James Conner in this game.
Are you a little bit worried that everyone's going to use Conner and you're just going to match everyone's points with that? Or do you see it as, well, I'll match everyone's points, but I'm only using $5,000?
No, I think less people are going to use Conner because Cleveland's a top 10 rushing defense.
Oh,
but I think they'll use him in the pass as well. And I think they'll try to just put him out there like similar to how they would use Le'Veon, just pretend he is and just see what he's got.
Right.
So I think they'll use him a lot in the passing game as well.
Yeah, I can't hate on that. I think obviously that's an awesome bargain pick for $5,000. It's not bad at all.
Mm-hmm.
All right, at wide receiver, I got a couple of guys I've got my eye on. I had mentioned going bargain at receiver this week. Probably the most expensive one I like is T.Y. Hilton. He's $7,200 versus the Bengals. I like Chris Hogan. He's $6,700 versus Houston. You're getting Hogan in an offense
Still
right
my
now.
Guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't even talk anymore.
Oh, you're getting. I'll let you talk about Hilton. You're getting Hogan in a week without Julian Edelman. Burkhead's still a little bit banged up. You don't know what you have in Sony Michel yet. Like, Hogan and Gronk are the two constants there, and Hogan is less than $7,000. I'm all over him. And another wide receiver that I like as a bargain right now is Jarvis Landry. He's $6,600 versus Pitt.
Go figure.
Well, man, I'm all about Landry. Landry right now. Also, now that FanDuel is having a flex player rather than a kicker, my advice is grab a cheaper wide receiver that you think can rack up catches since it's a half point per reception league, or grab a pass catching running back. And my pick this week would be use a guy like Landry in that flex, or get a running back like Christian McCaffrey. He's only $7,500. And if you can get that added player with the half point per reception, you can get an awesome running back in McCaffrey for $7,500. That seems like it's not a bargain play per se, but I just think it's a good flex play in a week like this.
I have a bargain guy at flex that I'm not going to give away because I don't want to give away all my secrets. So I'm just going to leave that as
That's what you get paid to do on this podcast.
Yeah, I don't want to give them all away, all right? Because I want to make money too. And I don't want people stealing my picks. So you can steal some of them, but you can figure out the other ones on your own. You can fill in some of those holes. But I agree with the Christian McCaffrey type because the guy I'm doing is the Christian McCaffrey type guy who's going to catch the ball a lot out of the backfield. So we'll pretend like I like Christian McCaffrey. So I went wide receiver next, and I'm giving you a bargain. It was freaking Chris Hogan. You said it. And I actually had T.Y. Hilton on my FanDuel lineup that I made as well. So I feel like we were on the same page this week, but I mean, who does Brady trust outside of Gronk? Right. Nobody. And he has that trust with them. It's just, you know what it is for the Patriots? It's next white man up. That's what it is. This is Donald Trump's football team, and we're all just living it in. So, I mean, with half-point PPR, I think he's going to be moved all around. He's going to be, used outside.
Jeez, that's a child. That is a child.
He's going to be used outside, and he's going to be... Okay, that kid's, I'm going to punch him in the face.
No, don't punch kids in the face.
He's going to use outside and use in the slot, so I think he'll be moved all over the place and he'll get lots of targets. So
I just don't think Braylon agrees with your pick for Hogan. I think that's what he's trying to say. He's trying to say to use.
He has to scream too. He can't just say regular words. He has to just scream and be an asshole about it.
He's probably a Packers fan. He probably wants to use Randall Cobb or someone. Do you have any other wide receivers you want to talk about?
Nope.
Sounds good. I will move on to a tight end. I got a couple of bargain picks this week. I like Jack Doyle. He's only 5,600 versus the Bengals. If you don't go T.Y. Hilton, if you don't want to stack up a bunch of Colts people, go ahead and pick Andrew Luck's number 2 guy. That's Jack Doyle. And then I also like Delaney Walker. He's only 6,100 at Miami. I know he's a little bit banged up, but literally Miami has sucked against tight ends for the last decade. I still think they're going to rely too much on Kiko Alonso as a tight end covering linebacker. If Walker plays, you should get great return on investment at $6,100. So 2 bargain plays this week, Doyle and Walker.
I actually have a tight end.
First time for everything.
I know, right? So I'm taking Jordan Reed at Arizona, $5,800. Jordan Reed is healthy coming into the season, and I'm jumping on him before he fucking gets hurt.
Get him before he
Get him now,
he loses.
he's healthy. He plays a weak Arizona defense, and his new quarterback, fucking Alex Smith.
Tight end lover.
Dude loves tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
Loves tight ends. As much as I love tight ends and that our last tight end ranking. So
exactly.
he loves his tight ends. So get Reed now before he's out for most of the season and be happy with it, because you're not going to have him the rest of the season, probably.
No, nice.
Not very often, anyways.
Do you want to tell our loyal listeners where they should go if they need help with their lineup other than asking Loaded Box Podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys want an unfair advantage to just dominate, like I'm going to dominate Ben, even though I don't have Le'Veon Bell playing this week in our first week of fantasy football. What a lucky bastard he is. Then, well, look no further and download SquadQL, the only mobile app you need to crush your friends and rivals this year. SquadQL recommends the best starting lineup for you each week based on your starters, bench players, and free agent pool. You may ask, how does SquadQL actually do this? The app connects directly with your Yahoo, ESPN, and CBS leagues, pulling in your actual roster and your league scoring system. SquadQL provides waiver and trade recommendations, plus the app gives you player rankings each week. And it's all based on your league settings. They connect to your free agents and tell you who to pick up. Stream that D, stream that tight end. They're telling you who to play. SquadQL truly is your go-to app this fantasy football season. Head to squadql.com to download SquadQL, your all-in-one fantasy football manager.
I like how you sometimes read portions of it like you're reading like a book to a child. Like you give it the radio life.
Gotta do it.
Gotta do it.
I'm sweating because every time this guy yells, I get so angry, and I'm sweating right now.
Prove it.
That's it. I don't even know what that means.
I just want him to silence. All right,
okay.
Now it's time for probably our favorite part, because we love fantasy football, but if there's one thing that rivals it for us, it's gambling on actual games itself.
It's losing my money.
It's losing in my money. You can lose it quicker this way than playing like fantasy football. Fantasy football, if you play redraft, you lose it over 17 weeks.
Correct.
Here you can lose it in 3 hours.
Real fast. I'll lose it real quick tonight.
Well, this year with our Against the Spread picks, we're moving to a unit system so we can put more emphasis on the games that we feel more confident in. So we'll be assigning each pick with either a 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1 unit system, with 5 being the most confident and working your way down. So if you're confused as to what a unit would be, I thought DJ would come in with a dick joke there. If you're confused as to what a unit would be, think about a unit as a percentage of your season's bankroll. So if you go into the season saying, hey, I've got $1,000 that I'm going to use towards gambling this year, a 5-unit play would equal a $50 bet. So we'll continue to keep our season year-to-date overall records, but also we're going to keep our unit record, since honestly not all games are created equal, because we're going to pick 3 games apiece each and every week for you guys, but we may feel more confident about one than the other. So we're going to move to the unit system just for that reason. So I will kick it off here with a 1-unit play. I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars favored by 3 over the Giants. This is the least favorite of my 3 that I'm picking, but I still think the Jaguars defense is good enough to give me at least a 4-point win over the Giants despite their improved offense. A little nervous since it's week 1. Things might not be clicking quite yet, but more often than not, you're going to see that the defense starts ahead of the offense. So I'm going to lean the Jags here. Me and DJ both talked about it. Fournette should have a big day. That leads to Bortles not being in so many situations to do too much and struggling and having turnovers. I'm going to start the year off with a 1-unit play here. I'm still fairly confident in it, but give me the Jaguars -3 for 1 unit.
I always like the Jaguars.
You would.
I would.
Do you have the Jaguars, or do you want to do your first one?
No. What's that?
Go ahead and do your first one then.
I'll go ahead. I'm going to take the Browns plus 6.5 versus the Steelers. Real confident here. This is real ballsy betting on the Browns with 4 units. I'm going big or going home. 4 units here. I truly believe in the Browns turnaround, and I'm not just smitten by Hard Knocks and the boner everybody gave me on there. No, I did like the Browns before that. They were a top 15 defense last year, and they've only gotten better. They've added on the offense. Also, I believe Ben Roethlisberger's struggling on the road. I really do. And there's no Le'Veon Bell, so I think that's going to hurt them this game, even though I just kind of talked good about Connor. I still think that's going to hurt him because he's just not Le'Veon Bell. So, as I said, their offense is going to be much more dangerous.
Yep.
And I actually believe if you're going to bet a money line this week, you should bet the Browns. I really believe that.
Oh, yeah. You're going to get great odds on a money line.
Yeah. So I'm all in on the Browns this week, 4 units.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that by any means. I think exactly with what you said. And honestly, I think that game could be super low scoring, like one of those deals where last team that has the ball has the chance to win. And more often than not in that case, it's going to be right around that 6.5 point mark. So don't mind it. I think you're a little bit high maybe with a 4 unit play on the Browns, who's won 1 game in the last 2 years. But hey, you're going against the spread. You might have a little bit more success that way. So,
they don't have to win.
Are you ready for my most confident game of the entire week?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm putting 5 units. I'm maxing it out. The Los Angeles Chargers, our AFC Super Bowl prediction team, -3 versus the Chiefs. This is not Mahomes' first game action, but it's his first full start of the season, like with Mahomes being the starter. Hi, child. I'm expecting Mahomes to make some mistakes, especially against a good defense. We talk about Ingram, we talk about Bosa, we talk about that secondary. I mean, they're the team that we both picked for the AFC, so we have to be confident in them. Talked about Melvin Gordon being a strong running back choice this week. I think they have success in the run game. I think Rivers will also get it done through the air. Remember, the Chiefs don't even have their most dynamic defensive player anymore now that they lost Marcus Peters. So if this spread were to go to 3.5, I may drop it to 3 or 4 units, but if it stays at 3, I'm maxing it out. I'm making it a 5 unit play.
Oh baby! So you're a Los Angeles Chargers guy, huh? And that's at home at the Chargers, right?
At home versus the Chiefs.
3 points. Yeah, again, I do agree with that, and I'm more inclined to go on that side because you guys all know my feelings on Kansas City this year. I think the offense is going to be down. And Mahomes has to come out and play his first game against that Chargers defense.
Yeah.
Like, good fucking luck.
On the road.
Good luck.
Yep.
On the road. Good luck. Good luck. All right. Here's my second one. Even higher than the 4 units. I'm going 5 units.
You're going to spend your whole bankroll the first week, baby.
Fuck it. Patriots -6.5 versus Texans, so they're hosting them in New England. Similar to your Patrick Mahomes matchup, you've got coming into this year, I have preached fading 2 teams in the first 3 games. The first of which of these 2 teams is the Texans. Everyone's hyping up Deshaun Watson so much that all the money is going to be on Houston. Like, there's going to be so much money on Houston because everyone's like, Deshaun Watson this, Patriots, secondary that, all that good shit. This is an unproven, erratic quarterback going into Belichick land. Like, who else would you not want him facing in his first game? It's Belichick land. I see this being a disaster for Deshaun Watson, a disaster for Houston, and I like the Pats big time. People are going to see 6.5, and they're going to drool like, oh, Texans going to win this game. Oh, Texans are going to win. And they're going to get just fucking sent home crying in that first game.
Man, see, it's not that I disagree with your reasoning on it. I'm just so in the air with this entire game. Like, I don't even know how to put my thoughts into words with this. I think it's going to be too close. Like, I don't think it's crazy to say that the Patriots can't win this game by more than 7. They could win it by 20, and I wouldn't be surprised. They could also lose this game, and I wouldn't be surprised. The fact that it is Watson, if he does come back healthy, he adds an element of being able to make things happen when the play breaks down. I talked about the Patriots not being able to have Edelman. Maybe the offense isn't clicking. Who's their running back? Are their running backs healthy? Like, there's so many questions right now that I just feel like it's a game that I would avoid. Not that I disagree with your side. I would just avoid it.
I wouldn't. 5 units.
Clearly, it's your 5-unit play. 5-unit
All I do is cover
play
the
of the
spread.
day. All right, you ready for my
I'm never
final
gonna
one?
fucking have this kid. I promise this is the last time Braylon's ever down during a podcast, people.
Nope, we're going to bring him on every single week. He's going to be our guest against the spread picker. All right, I'll go on to my last one. It's worth 2 units. It's the Panthers, favored by 3 over the Cowboys. This pick is a combination of both my belief in Carolina as a 10-win team, but also in my belief that the Cowboys would be lucky to get like 7-8 wins. I'm getting the superior team at home. They only need to cover a field goal spread. So you ask, what's Dallas's biggest strength? We all know it. It's Elliott. It's the run game. Carolina was 3rd last year in the NFL. They allowed under 90 rushing yards per game. If Carolina can take away Zeke, if they can make Dallas become one-dimensional, I don't think that Dallas's offense is ready to beat a team that's as good as Carolina with their passing game. It's too early in the season for me to think that Dak is just going to all of a sudden, after a lackluster preseason and offense, to think that they're just going to click. I think Carolina gets Christian McCaffrey going early. I think that if they get into a situation where they need to rely on the passing game, obviously they can rely on Cam Newton. He still has Funchess. He still has Greg Olsen. They're going to bring in DJ Moore, obviously. I think they have enough weapons where they win this game by more than a field goal. It's a solid 2-unit play for me.
Ben's got all favorites, people. All favorites is what he's taking.
3-point favorites.
Oh, that's scary. I wouldn't do that. That'd be too scary. There's no way you win all 3 of those.
So just a quick FYI, I bet on 3 games the opening week of college football, all 3 favorites. I'm 3-0. Keeping the streak alive.
That means everything for the season. Yeah, because the fans and people always win.
Right.
I don't know. I guess I don't. That was tough for me. There's going to be a lot of rain there.
That's one thing. Thanks a lot, meteorologist.
Fucking hurricanes. I'd probably bet the under in that one. So I don't know why Hurricanes hate the first week, but like you said, I've actually got slowly more down on Dallas as the season's gotten closer.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I'm just in my head like, I don't really like Dak Prescott. And as this line kind of falls apart, and if Zeke's not as effective, and their lack of wide receivers, like I know they think that they don't need a good wide receiver, but you kind of need one to stand out.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know if they really have that. So we'll see how this first week it turns out for them. I just feel like it's so unknown versus Dallas. And Carolina's kind of like wishy-washy at times. That's a game I'm probably going to stay away from.
All right, so we've got a solid avoid by DJ. DJ, let's hear your third pick.
I've got 1 unit on this one, so this is my lowest. I'm not confident at all. But it's my most confident game out of the rest of the game. So, again, this is the second team I am fading this year. It's the 49ers. It's the Vikings minus 4.5 versus the 49ers. So they're playing in Minnesota. So, again, I think the fans are going to be drooling over the Garoppolo hype. Like, he had sex with a porn star. He looked good last year. And people are going to come in and they're going to bet hard on the Niners. It's just like Garoppolo was. So the Vikings defense is a tough test for a guy who also threw a lot of interceptions in a very short amount of time to just come in and start off the season with. Like, and typically defenses are just ahead of offenses, especially a veteran defense like the Vikings.
Right.
I mean, I do think the Vikings will struggle this year, but I just don't think San Fran will be too much like improved, like a ton improved. I think they'll be better, but I don't think they're going to be like playoff better by any means. Where everybody's really on this Garoppolo Niners train, and their defense, it's just not that great. So I'm holding off on the Niners for these 3 weeks. I just don't believe in those 2 teams. I think they're going to be overhyped. I think you're going to see that in the first games for both of them.
So fade the Texans, fade the Niners early. You're sticking to your guns. I like it.
I'm sticking to them.
I do want to make it known that the last couple of years, I've actually done really well against the spread to start the year. And then as Vegas kind of catches up on teams, like I start to even out a little bit more towards like that average line, that just winning a little bit. Like 2 years ago, actually, we crushed it. Like Vegas had a bad year. Like we crushed it. Last year, we were both right around 50%. I was a little bit higher. You were clearly lower. But that's kind of how things work. So I'm expecting to jump out ahead here early. That's all I got for against the spread picks. Should we get a quick fantasy football start sit listener question?
Yeah, let's do it. We're kind of flying through this. We're only like 30 minutes in.
Perfect. We got a game to watch.
I know. And a baby to put to bed.
Yeah. So this is actually a unique one. Says, I have James Conner and was offered Carlos Hyde by the guy who owns Le'Veon Bell. Should I pull the trigger?
You want my answer first?
Sure.
Okay, so I think yes, like hugely. Like I believe that Le'Veon is too smart to not get in by Saturday because he doesn't want to lose $1 million. And if he doesn't come on Saturday, he's not coming in for a while. But I mean, he comes in, signs his tag, gets his money. Not an idiot. I don't think his agent said, "Oh yeah, I want to set my guys up for financial stability." Well, financial stability doesn't involve losing $1 million. So give them that guy that when Le'Veon Bell does come back is not going to be worth a stash on your bench, a stash on your team, on your bench. You'll drop him eventually because there's going to be other guys who bust out. So I think Carlos Hyde is a really good running back, and I think he will put up RB2 numbers and be very solid all this year like he was last year with an improving Browns team with a good offensive line. I'm a big Carlos Hyde fan. I don't think they're going to use Nick Chubb at all. He didn't impress hardly anybody in the preseason, and Carlos Hyde looked good. So the only person you really have to worry about is Duke Johnson, but you're getting a number one running back who's going to get first, second, third down carries versus a guy who's going to play one game potentially and then not see the field for more than, 3 times a game the rest of the year.
Exactly. Yeah, I think, like you said, even if you don't have to start Carlos Hyde every single week, because obviously if you have Connor, you're not trading away one of your top running backs. You already have your top running backs. Yeah. So go ahead and keep using those. But in the long haul, this might be the highest that you can sell James Conner at. So sell him now, get Hyde. If one of your other running backs go down, like you said, you have a running back one who can put up you have a starting running back who can literally finish the year as an RB2. I don't think I'd put him in the top 12, but to say he's finishing in the top 24 wouldn't be all that crazy. So yeah, I would pull the trigger now. That guy can't really lose in this situation though, because he can give away Hyde, and obviously he still has the Bell Connor combination that he can use regardless of who's playing. I literally think this is a win-win for both sides.
It is, and think about it. You're just adding depth to your running back, which you need your running back room, I guess you can call it. Yeah. You're adding depth to that on your fantasy team, whereas he's kind of not really doing it. So I would say it's still a little bit more win of the Carlos Hyde side, but it's a win for the Le'Veon Bell side because they don't have Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
But you're getting more depth with a good running back who's proven to be a good running back in the NFL for a guy that would literally be on your team probably not too much longer as soon as Le'Veon Bell comes. So you're actually getting an actual running back who can play.
For a handcuff.
Who did you draft higher? Who was drafted higher?
Right.
Carlos Hyde was probably like 5th round, where Connor was like 12th. Just think about where you drafted him.
And if this whole Le'Veon Bell, like if you drafted earlier, there's a chance that the only people taking Connor were those who were handcuffing Bell. So, yeah, you're talking about a guy who may not have even been drafted. So, yeah, all in that. You want to give any final thoughts before we start watching a little Thursday Night Football?
No, I just want to get this done with because this kid ruined this entire podcast.
All right. Well, thank you very much for listening. Thank you to DJ Son Braylon for making a guest appearance on the podcast. As always, tweet any questions you may have. We're found on Twitter at LoadedBox. Website is loadedboxpodcast.com. Make sure you go there for our latest podcast, articles, I would say fantasy rankings, but your draft better be done by now. Next episode, we'll be back Sunday night for our NFL Week 1 instant reaction.
Oof, that'll be tight because I'm gonna be locked in Sunday night.
Oh my God! Yeah, we're gonna start early. DJ's got a Packers game.
We're gonna do a 10-minute podcast.
DJ's got a Packers game to start.
I'm not gonna be in any mood to be podcasting before a Packer game against the Bears when Khalil Mack comes in.
And Braylon's gonna be playing a Morocco. So.
Sure.
All right, we're available on iTunes. Search Loaded Box, subscribe, rate, and review. And with that, DJ, send us into Week 1.
Bye.
One more Morocco shake. There it is.
Nope.